Hi, I'm Janel Vital, and today I want to talk about 5 myths that are holding us all back in relationships today. Myth number 1, if you have to explain something about what you want or need to your partner, whether that's in your relationship in general or sexually, there's something wrong and they're probably not the right person for you. Well, unfortunately, that's just not true. Actually, fortunately, that's not true. No one is perfect, and even if you're really ridiculously compatible with somebody, they're not gonna always be able to read your mind. So we have to develop ways to communicate honestly and openly with each other, because even people who are really compatible with each other can't always know how you wanna be touched in bed or how to talk to you when you're feeling stressed out. There's nothing wrong with having needs, and there's nothing wrong if you and your partner aren't reading each other's minds. In fact, that's totally normal. So if this is something that's a struggle for you or for you and your partner, check out the resources on my website, lovewithjanel.com. I have so many resources on how to have hard, awkward conversations for the sake of getting closer and developing a deeper understanding of what y'all need. Which brings me to myth number 2, that happily ever after is real and that there should never be any conflict in your relationship. And if there is, then that's a sign that the relationship's not right. That's totally not true. And in fact, the best relationships are ones where people have conflict and they've learned how to deal with conflict together for the sake of getting closer and deepening in intimacy by really seeing what's hard about each other and loving each other through it and loving each other anyway. So there is no perfect relationship and there is no perfect person for you. In fact, a good relationship is all about finding someone who shares your values and you have a lot in common, you're compatible, but really a good relationship is about learning how to have good conflict management with each other. So don't be afraid of conflict, or don't be scared if something doesn't feel quite right in your relationship. I see that a lot of people are afraid to talk to each other about it when they're having conflict with their partner. That doesn't mean that anything is bad. That doesn't mean your relationship is doomed. Don't be afraid of conflict management. In fact, lean into it with your partner so that you can really love each other even when things are hard. That is deep, real intimacy. So myth number 3 is that men always want sex and women don't. This is totally not true. It can be true for some men and women, but this is a myth that's taught to us for very specific social reasons. Men have been socialized to always want sex, and they've been taught that if you don't always want sex, that something is wrong with you. Similarly, women have been socialized, but in the complete opposite way. We've been told that being really sexual is shameful, and so part of being a woman is that we don't want sex at all, and that's kind of part of how society controls us. We live in a world where things are shifting so much, and there's so much variety in how you can express yourself in terms of gender, in terms of sexuality. So look, if you're a man who doesn't want sex all the time, that's totally fine, that's normal. If you're a man who doesn't want to have sex with a woman on the first date, that's okay. I have tons of clients who come to me thinking that something is wrong with them because they don't want sex all the time. Men and women experience this. It's not just one-sided. So look, if that's something you're struggling with in your relationship, regardless of who wants more sex than who, just know that it's a totally normal struggle and that people vary across the spectrum when it comes to how much sex they want in their relationships. It's not just about gender. Which brings me to myth number 4, that there's only one right way to be in a relationship, or there's only one right way to have sex. There's a lot of social programming around how relationships or how sex are supposed to look. And we think about this kind of heterosexual, leave it to beaver, nuclear family model. And we think that anything outside of vanilla sex is like weird and we pathologize it. But look, there are so many different ways to be sexual and to be in relationship. You and your partner can design whatever relationship you want. You don't have to follow conventional rules. If it works for you, then it's a good relationship. As long as everything is consensual and there's no abuse happening, every kind of sexual connection and relationship orientation is okay. Myth number 5 is that if you're in love with someone, you should not and will not be attracted to anyone else for the rest of your life. Whew, that's a big one that's really ingrained in a lot of our pop culture, but it's just not true. Just because you're attracted to someone else doesn't mean you're not in love with the person that you're with, and it doesn't mean that you're bad or morally wrong. It just means that you're a human. We're social animals, and there's a lot of research showing that in other times in human history, humans have been very fluid in terms of their connections with other people. So just acknowledging that you're attracted to someone else isn't bad. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna act on it, right? It just means that you're a human being. And if you do choose to act on it, you need to be in consent with your partner, and that's an okay option for your relationship. If you want to have the conversation with your partner about what it might look like to connect with other people while you're in deep connection with each other, I also have a lot of resources for that on my website. Let's get rid of all of these myths that are holding us back in our contemporary relationships, because the best way to have long-term relationships that actually work these days is to put less pressure on them to fit into these boxes and to allow them to just flow organically depending on who we are and who we're with. There's so many different ways to be in relationship, and I want to help you create roadmaps for yourself around what your ideal relationship looks like and what your ideal relationship with your partner or partners look like. So subscribe below and check out my website, lovewithjanel.com. I look forward to keeping in touch with you.